Hey Kayla, we were not able to arrange a trip up that way this year because Skeet's mom came down with a lung infection and decided that she was going to die. She hasn't died yet. She's doing a lot better today, but she's been sick for the last 3 weeks. So we had to cancel all this. So what I'm going to do is a tutorial on making roses. I'm hoping that this will be able to help you. I'm going to start out with a clay one using Play-Doh. Why would I do that? 2 reasons. 1, you'll understand the structure better. And 2, most flowers that you do with cake decorating have to be done with gum paste because most flowers cannot be piped. You know, you can do hibiscus, you can do roses, daisies, a lot of different flowers, but a lot of them have to be done with, like I said, some type of, more of a clay type of frosting. So, I'm using Play-Doh, and I'm going to show you what I've done. I made pea-size pieces of Play-Doh. Here we go. All right, there they are. As you see, I've made a number of them. The structure of a rose is the beginning, which I've got 2 peas for. The first level of leaves, which is usually 3. The second set of leaves, which is normally 5. And the third, which is 7. You don't have to always have this many, but that is the major structure of a rose. Okay, so we're going to take these and we're going to smash them like I did that one, except for this one with the second 2 in the front, which are like the beginning. This one I'm going to make like a rose would be made, and you make a catalyst. Okay, so you make pretty much using a round tip, something like this, and I'll show you that later. I think I'm going to make a little bit more Play-Doh for this because it seems kind of light and I want it a little bit thicker. Your catalyst doesn't have to be huge, but you want it tall enough to accommodate your leaves. Okay, so this is my catalyst. This would be something I would be trying to do with frosting in order to accomplish the rose. Okay, so the first, I'm going to flatten this so it kind of sits on here. So we have it. Well, it's hard to show that. But anyways, I flattened this out, and we're doing the beginning of the rose. And what this is a little like cape that you wrap around it. This gives you the look of the base of the rose. So you see, I've taken, let's see, there it is, and wrapped it around there. The head sticks out a little bit, and this wraps around it. Okay, so now we're taking the first row, and we're flattening them all. And you would flatten them out a little bit more on the ends than on the base. And you just gently wrap it around there. Okay, so the second one comes up. We make a little bit thinner on the top. Oops, that ripped a little. Let's put it back together. And we wrap it around. And there's our second one. Okay, and then our third one. Do it again. And wrap our third one. Okay, so that's how our rose starts out, with the catalyst and then the 3 leaves. Okay, so now we're going to flatten the next row. And like I said, this helps a lot with understanding structure. You can do this with Play-Doh for a while until you get it down, and then it will help you to understand what you're doing better. All right, when you put these on, you want to go between the seams. So we put one here. We're going to keep going around the circle and put as many as we can. I'm flattening them out a little bit on the ends. Okay, there's 3. 4. And my 5th one. And they made it all the way around. Oops, I wanted it a little higher. And so that's where we're at right now. And you can pull these down a little bit to make them a little bit wider if you want. All right, so now we're going to do the last row, the 7, flattening them out. Sometimes I have trouble getting 7 in. That can be difficult. If it's only 6, it's fine. But then you go down lower on the catalyst and you start populating those around the circle. Okay? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it looks like we're only getting 6. Okay, so anyways, there we have a rose. Okay, so that's a Play-Doh rose, really easy to make. I learned how to do this when we were on a cruise on a ship, and they come out really nice. So you can do that with gum paste or something like that too. All right, so we're going to put that away. Okay, now when you're doing a real rose with frosting, you need a couple things. You need a nail. This is a flower nail. Wax paper is preferred. You don't have to use it. You need a round tip. I've got a number 10 on here. They're just like this, except for I've got a smaller one. Now, I've got here, this is a 102, a 103, and a 104. So if you were doing a small cake, you might want to use these and make small roses, a 102. Or you can do a 104 if you want a bigger rose. If you got a huge cake, you can even go up to this one. This is a 124. This is a huge tip, and you'd have to use a much bigger circle with it. Now, one thing is they do make a larger tip, not tip, but a coupling for these ones. But I found that when I cut the bags for the smaller tips, these fit in without any coupling. The only problem with that is that you can't take and change the tip out. So what I've learned to do is skip this part and only use this when making flowers, which works. Or you'd have to have 2 bags if you wanted to use the bigger one and have both of them. Okay? So what we do is we put a little bit of frosting on our nail and put our plastic on it. Now, your frosting has to be very, very, very stiff. So when you make it, let me tell you a few things about making frosting. I would always suggest, if you're making frosting, especially decorations, that they're made with shortening. Don't ever use butter, because the melting can easily happen just by using your hand. So if you want the butter flavor, you can get butter flavoring, or you can use some margarine, but don't use straight butter. You'll be sorry, because I did use that on Joan's wedding because I was trying to get away from buttercream. Her husband didn't like it, and I used butter in a meringue recipe, and I did have some problems with melting at the venue because it was very hot in there. So that's nothing you don't really want to have happen. All right, so we've got our tip here, and what we do is we start going up. Now, I kind of go back up and back to try to build a good strong base. So you see I'm popping up and down a little bit. and you get it as relatively high as you can without it falling over. Okay, and you can straighten it up a little bit if you need to. All right, and then you have to change your tip, which can get a little tricky, but I'm doing it here. Put your other one on. Ooh, get it screwed on, that'll help. This is a little tricky, so if you have a piece of styrofoam or something, it can help to hold your tips while you hold your nails and your stuff so you can easily change. Okay, so when you're piping, you want the small end on the top, the wider end on the bottom. You start at your base, start at the base, and you twirl the nail, and you're just going right around all the way up, all the way back down. Okay, so it looks like that. All right, just like we did before. That little point is, you know, you can push it down so it's not pointy like that. All right, now we want the tip straight up and down, and we're pretty much straight into the flower. And you just do 3 leaves around. So you got 1, you go start at the bottom, pull it up, go down, 3rd one, same thing. So now you have that, okay? So we're going to go starting at the 2 seams, and we're going to try to put 5 on. And you have to flare the top of your tip here a little back on this leaf so the leaves flare a little bit better. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've got a round, okay? So we have our 5th one. Now we're going to do the bottom, and this one we have to flare out even more. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I was able to get 7. Now my rose could be a little bit higher, but it came out pretty good. You see there? It would be passable for rose. Okay, so I'm going to take that off the nail and put it here on the counter. Now getting it off of here can be difficult, especially if you've got wax paper under there. So if you throw them in the freezer, which I threw my other one in the freezer that I made, you leave it in there for a little bit and you can just pull the paper off. Now this one's not frozen enough yet, but you can leave them in about ½ hour, and then all you have to do is just put a little dab of frosting and throw the flowers on it. It makes it a whole lot easier. Again, you can use the nail. I'm going to show you without using any wax paper, the nail, and I'm not going to use the round one. What I do when I do that is I start rolling it around like so to make a cone, okay? And I don't have it high enough yet. And I skip the wrapping around the catalyst thing, and I just start putting the leaves on. So I got 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2. My frosting is not the best consistency. I just use shortening and some coffee creamer, and it's and confectioner's sugar, and it's could be a little thicker, but I'm managing. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so it's not the best here because of my shortening, but you see, you can still do a rose that way. And if you do, I do have little scissors that I use, but you can take the scissor and put it under there and pull it off. If mine broke up because it's too thin, but if it's thick enough, you can pick it up with a small scissor and lay it on your cake. I would suggest starting out that you use the wax paper because the frozen ones are so much easier. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is they've come out with what they call the Russian tips. They're very different. They're very big, so you'd have to have a specialized bag for them. They're not very expensive. You do have to have your frosting extremely thick to use these. but they have ones that do roses and everything. So if you you can't deal with that, you're frustrated, you can look into these type of tips, and maybe these could help you do beautiful cakes too. So that's about all I can tell you on making a rose. If you find this video helpful, let me know. If it still doesn't help you to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish, tell me where you're having problems and we'll see what we can do, okay? I hope you're doing well, and I hope this video helps. Thanks.